Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to the special meeting, March 15th, for Geauga Public Health. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll turn it down.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if everybody has the agenda, but we are going to rearrange the agenda and go with new business first. The first thing we want to talk about is for sale of property program. We have our attorney here, Mr. Brian Kostura, if he could give us an update.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. As it relates to the FSOP program, I'm not quite sure where you want me to stand so I can address everyone here.
Brian, if you want to go by the TV, that way his camera should be close to or that TV. Sorry.
This will work?
Yeah, sorry.
All right,
Yeah.
I don't want everybody's back to me. So Geauga County Board of Health repealed the for sale of property evaluation known as FSOP in June of 2022. The purpose was to institute a more encompassing program mandated by the state, also known as the Operations and Maintenance Program, which didn't exist in Geauga County prior to that time. There were questions raised about having both the O&M program and the legacy FSOP program issues in place at the same time for enforcement purposes. So it was requested that I approach the Geauga County the Geauga County Prosecutor's Office and get a legal opinion as to whether or not we could do this all at the same time. Well, we've had multiple discussions with him, and he is in the process of putting together a legal opinion as it relates to the enforcement of both the FSOP program and the O&M program, but it's just not quite done yet because there's a lot of things to kind of go through and to weigh. But that being said, I would recommend, based upon where we're at in the program, trying to get O&M up and moving and trying to deal with the FSOP program as where it stands right now with all the legacy cases. Because it is administrative in nature and all we're dealing with is an administrative issue, it would be my recommendation to the board that you move to simply allow our administrator, Mr. Litkey in this case, to handle all the management and enforcement actions and or furtherance of the FSOP program, consistent with whatever legal opinion comes out of the Geauga County Prosecutor's Office. This way, this board can focus on something that's more important, which is the implementation and execution of the O&M program, which is still a fledgling program and really needs a lot more frankly, focus. And because this is only administrative in nature, you could turn that all over to Mr. Litkey, and he could move forward with it. That would be my recommendation to the board as it relates to FSOP, but I will leave that to you. Is there anything further questions that you have?
I didn't get any questions.
Does the board have any questions from regarding this? I think we've all we're all pretty familiar with it, and so do we think we want to take Mr. Kostura's recommendation and make a motion to hand this to let Adam Litkey handle the rest of this?
The administration of it all.
Mm-hmm. Is everybody?
I move that.
Second. Okay, so we have a motion, so we have a second. So does everybody understand what the motion was?
Yes. I'm not quite sure I understand what the motion was, frankly.
So basically, the motion, I think, is moved to authorize GPH administrator to manage and address any issues with the for sale of property evaluation program, also known as FSOP. And it's also in section 3701-29-25 of the Geauga County Household Sewage township system regulations. Consistent with the legal office to be Geauga County Prosecutor's Office. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Can we do a roll call vote? Dr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Brakey?
Yes.
Mrs. Roman?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Abstain.
And Mr. Perino, yes. Okay, that one passes. Thank you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda we'd like to discuss is House Bill 110. The review of that, again, we're going to have to ask Mr. Costura to give us an update regarding that.
Thank you. I believe it was about 3 weeks ago, the board made a notice that in a review of its records, it determined that there may have been a period of time in which businesses and groups with semi-public sewage treatment systems may have paid for a permit and an inspection had not been completed. At that point, the board realized, of course, this could be an issue, and they came to me and asked if we would conduct an audit of the program. I just want to give you basically an update as to where we are on that audit. We've gone through the physical files. There were roughly 800 physical files that we have gone through. I will tell you that they were in various states of order. Some of them were very well organized and some of them were not. And some of them contained the information that we hoped they contained, including applications for permits and the fees associated with it, and then, of course, the inspection reports, and some of them did not. So we are still kind of trying to cross-reference those with the other 3 databases that we're going through. We went through database number 1, and that basically had, frankly, a lot of the inspections from 2022 and 23. Those were all up to date, and those actually were consistent with what was the permits that were paid for and the correlating inspections. So we were in good shape on those. Database number 2, frankly, is a lot more voluminous, and in some instances, not in great shape as it relates to organization. That one contained scanned images, including complete and incomplete applications, fees paid, duplicate entries, and frankly, a lot of what we're going through, we're finding some of the addresses are frankly in the wrong addresses. So some of the properties have been miscued. So we're now going through, trying to pull those out and put them in the right spot so that we can provide the most accurate information possible to the board. And then finally, we came to learn, we have reason to believe that there may have been other information on GPH servers that may have shown that there were inspections done, but they didn't correlate necessarily to the payments that were received. So we have asked IT here at Geauga County, so the ADP group, to run a full scan of all of the GPH servers so that we can confirm with the information that we have in the hard copy files, database 1 and database 2, to provide you guys a full and accurate review of not only what was sent in by all of the folks with the semi-public systems and paid their fees, but whether or not the inspection was conducted. So I guess in summary, what we're looking at is it's still going to take us more time. It's actually a lot bigger job than we initially expected because of having to go through the additional server and the state of basically database 2. It doesn't quite jive with everything else. Now, we are making progress, and I did meet with our team this morning, and we are moving this ball forward. So as soon as we have a full report, we will issue findings and fact and recommendations for the future. We will provide that to the board for appropriate action. Outside of your questions, that's all I have.
So I guess I have a question. So is there a, do you have a time frame on when you think this will be completed, or is it still pretty fluid?
I think the review of database number 2 will be complete by, I would say, end of next week. As it relates to a full server review by the ADP department, we're still working with them on getting that done, because frankly, it is one of those things that you can't run during the day. It only can be run at night, because otherwise it slows down the system for everyone. And so it's an issue of timing.
And do we have an idea of how long so the public knows, how far back are we looking? Are we looking 6 months, 90 days, 3 years?
Yeah, right now, we're all the way back to 2010. And so this has not been one of those things where it's just a couple of months or a couple of years. Right now, we're all the way back to 2010. I will tell you that
Future.
So first, we want to talk about why we believe this reset is critically important right now. We need to start realizing cost savings as soon as possible, and we need to provide for the longevity of our health department. In our 2023 budget, we are facing a $35,000 shortfall. The forecasts are that annual deficits are likely to increase as the cost of providing services and our staffing cost increase. In our 2024 budget, we are facing a shortfall of over $500,000. So we have a fiduciary duty to address this now. We also face a levy renewal this year, and we owe it to our residents to explore the most cost-efficient path forward that also assures we continue to provide the services our residents depend on. So it's important to emphasize that we are not broke. We maintain a healthy reserve or rainy day fund, but we can't rely on that. Our health services are paid for by 3 sources of revenue: money from residents through a levy, money from the permits and fees we collect, and money from grants we apply for. We must find the most fiscally responsible answer available with those funding sources.
So by way of background, a number of months ago, Carolyn and I started independently educating ourselves about our situation, the challenges we face, the opportunities we might have. We have studied our current organizational structure, the services we provide, the cost of these services, and the feasible options that are available to us immediately. We have also reached out to the Ohio Department of Health, Trumbull County Health Department, the Portage County Health District, Summit County Public Health, Ashtabula County Health Department, and Lake County General Health District. We also learned that in 2012, the Association of Ohio Commissioners issued a report called Public Health Futures and described how Ohio's 125 local health districts could explore partnering across regions to enhance the quality and to assure value of health services. One important reason for us to have a partnering agreement like this is that the counties with populations of fewer than 100,000 people, which is Geauga County, are increasingly not eligible for grants that make up one of our 3 funding sources. The Ohio Department of Health fully supports exploring these options. For a variety of reasons, it became apparent that the local health departments we talked with were not viable options as partners. The obvious exception and potential partner for us is the Lake County General Health District.
So this afternoon, we are recommending that our board vote on a cross-jurisdictional agreement with the Lake County General Health District to serve as a staffing agency for Geauga Public Health. This agreement will meet our goal to maintain control of Geauga County Health Services in our county while providing significant cost savings to our residents who will really see no change in how they access these vital services. So some things to keep in mind: the Board of Health will remain in place and will continue to control our policies, our programs, and our services. We'll continue to answer to Geauga residents. Under this agreement, we estimate we will save Geauga residents between $350,000 and $600,000 a year in health services costs. Again, these are annual savings. We will continue to maintain our vehicles, our office, our website, and our identity. The bottom line, Geauga residents will continue to receive the same services and go to the same places to get those services. None of that will change. We are recommending that vital statistics to continue to be overseen by Geauga Public Health employees who have institutional knowledge and are best equipped to handle the tight controls the state places on these confidential records. As we stated earlier, one of the primary purposes for entering into this agreement is to realize significant cost savings, and contracting out vital statistics would not result in the savings needed to justify restaffing the entire department. We have a track record of success working with Lake. For the past year and a half, Our health administrator, Adam Lickey, has been a contract employee from Lake, and our environmental health director, Dan Lark, has been a contract employee from Lake for over a year as well. Our WIC program, which safeguards the health of low-income women, infants, and children up to age 5, has been overseen by Lake Partners since 2016. Under this agreement, we will be able to apply for larger grants using the combined populations of our 2 counties, the accreditation of the health district by the Public Health Accreditation Board, and the preparation of the community needs assessment will be more efficient. As you may be aware, accreditation is an unfunded mandate of Ohio law. We will be able to share specialty staff, such as in the area of data analysis, accreditation, community needs assessment, emergency preparedness, finance, and grant writing.
That fixed, so if you're watching, the recorded version will be without the jump that happened, so just an FYI. So those are, I got some questions asking.
So, board folks?
So,
Carolyn and I, yes, worked on this individually and had to come together, but all of you,
right.
so.
So can we summarize in a brief analysis what steps we took to try to keep this in Geauga County? For instance, we interviewed the administrator for the administrator position. We had obtained applications for the environmental health services manager, and we looked at our work that had to be done in order to, for instance, with credentialing, we had no specific expertise in that area, so we would need that. And we would need other services, plus trying to provide the services that we were already providing. For a budget that wasn't able to support that level of service, and if anything, we will be adding services that our collaborative agreement with Lake allows us access to that we would not be able to access on our own. I view those all as positive things.
It certainly enables us to go after more grants because we have a larger population. Clearly, as the 2012 report by the Ohio Health Commissioners, counties that have less than 100,000 population often do not have the necessary resources to be able to service as well as we need.
I think we've kind of highlighted the fact that we are truly prioritizing the services that we provide and the desire to.
So the 2-minute, what is going to go up there on the TV, is that right?
It's supposed to.
Maybe. So, do we have a list of who's speaking or no?
There's one.
Okay, so what we can do if it's acceptable.
You didn't tell us to sign up for a list.
Okay, then what we could do is we can go from front row to back row, or back row to front row, whatever you guys want to do.
I'll bring this sheet up and we'll pass this other one around if anybody wants to. There's a little yes and no column all the way on the right for speaking. Or front to back.
Yeah, let's just do front to back.
Okay, let's do front to back. So the first one to my right is, I think his name is Mr. Jonathan Tyler. He's a trustee from Clarendon Township. If you want to say something.
Thank you.
Hold on, John.
Wait a minute. What?
The TV's not connecting.
Okay, we're having a little technical difficulty, but we'll get through it.
Yes, start?
Yep.
Yes, okay. My question is, and I know that you may not answer, but my question is, if the board foresaw this fiscal shortfall at some point, and therefore the consequences of it, why not at least ask the residents to authorize a levy before pursuing this? Secondly, is it foreseen that there's, if this happens, is it foreseen that if there is a levy, is it going to be a 2-county levy?
Okay, thank you for that. Next would be Miss Shelley Lewis.
Are you going to answer the questions?
No, we are not going to answer questions till everybody speaks.
Okay.
To make sure that everybody has time to speak. We have a hard stop at 6 o'clock, so I'm sorry.
Okay. I probably will take the full 2 minutes, and please let me know if you can't hear me in the back. My name is Shelley Lewis, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Geauga. I want to wish the board Happy Sunshine Week. This is a week where we draw attention to and celebrate, all the good practices in government to promote open and transparent government. And I actually, this past weekend, was writing a piece that will appear in the paper tomorrow talking about this. And I actually mentioned the Public Health Board for your policy to allow what we're doing right here, which is having a public comment opportunity, because not all of our public bodies allow this. So I appreciate the opportunity to stand up here and offer what is going to be a criticism. In 1976, I'm going to get the name of it wrong, but in response to the Watergate situation, Congress passed, what is the name of it? The Something in the Sunshine Law, Government in the Sunshine Act. And that was passed in part to restore faith in government process. And, the main premise of that was shining a light on government processes. And my criticism here is
give up having a health district for money, because the people in this county will in fact support that. I mean, we're wealthy enough to be able to afford this, and we should have our own health district. I think it's sad that a county like ours has to find ourselves in a situation where we have to crawl on our hands and knees to Lake County, and that's what I view it as. I'm absolutely convinced that with a little different kind of approach on this, we would be fine. And I think more effort should be made to try and keep it right here as it always has been, and it's a first-class program. Nobody can say it isn't, because that's the way it is, and I think the county can afford it, and I think we should not pass this.
Thank you. Next, Miss. Okay, the second row, madam.
Yes.
State your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Bernadette Guia, and I live in Munson Township.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I have spoken with a few of the Lake County residents stating that they are not pleased with their own health district. With Lake County being the smallest county in Ohio, how are they going to manage more than double the capacity by incorporating Geauga County into their administration? Also, what's in it for Lake County? What are we giving them? And why they're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart? That's it.
Okay, next, sir. Name and...
Frank Leah, Munson Township. Going back to Ashley's comment, when she walks into the health department, will she be able to recognize anybody there, or will there be nobody there since you're letting them all go by March 31st? I see a problem there where we're not going to be able to have that same friendly conversations we have with the health department because they're gone. How do you handle the septic systems going forward? We're a rural community. Lake is not. It's going to be very difficult, and it's not going to be very transparent. And I agree with Jim. The health department has been running very well for many, many years. Why don't we put this up to a vote for the Geauga County residents and see what they could say about whether or not to do this or not?
Okay, next, Mr. McNeil. We got an audience.
Jim McNeil, Troy Township. And I just have a question on the personal complaint process. It appears to me that if we have any employees here, no employees here, that looks like a mandate for union membership to me. Can you tell me if that's mandated, and if the person does not want to be part of that union process, do they have the liberty to do that?
Thank you. Next. Would you like to say anything?
We're all working.
Oh, you're all news, okay. I'm sorry. So let's go to the next row.
No.
Nothing. Mr. Jim?
I'll come back.
Okay. Mike, I know you want to say something. Mike Brown, a trustee from Chardon Township.
Mike Brown, Chardon Township, also Secretary of the Health District Advisory Council. I was a little bit surprised to see this special meeting being announced during the day when most people can't come, with the plan on not only introducing this agreement, but potentially signing it. You really, I don't understand how you think that that would pass the smell test for anybody in Geauga County. Geauga County citizens respect their sovereignty. They know that they're from Geauga County. We don't really have a whole lot in common with Lake County. We're totally different. The icing on the cake is you're going to get rid of all of the employees, and you speak about it as if it's already happened. This item is listed in the old business on your agenda. Was it ever in new business? Was it discussed? This just doesn't pass the smell test for me.
List, you already know me.
Yes.
Icky List. Do you foresee coming back to operating independently once we're stable? In other words, once O&M is up and we're bringing in money? Number 2, what has changed with the administration and EH from the last contract? I'd like to know what the difference is. Are all positions 50-50 with Lake? If not, what's the percentage? Number 4, Ron Graham. I want to know what he pushed for. Number 5, during COVID, we had a mask mandate that was very different than Lake County, and I want to know if we're going to keep our independence and things like that. Number 6, 5-year agreement, 2 years to terminate, and you said that if both parties agree, you could immediately terminate? Is that correct? Okay, I wasn't clear on that, so I'd like to be clear on it. And number 7, define who is in these current position. I don't know who the nursing manager is. I don't know the difference between that and the medical director in epidemiology. So if you could explain that, and if you want my questions, they're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Okay, next one after Ms. List.
Yeah, I appreciate all these questions being asked, and I look forward to hearing the answers. I agree with Mike Brown from Chardon that it would have been nice for townships to have some input going into
Your
this
name, please,
decision.
sir?
I'm PJ Kavanaugh, Auburn Township trustee. Also, I've been around long enough to remember when townships were assessed, it wasn't anything we agreed to. We were just simply assessed for the cost of running the health department. In this agreement, who will make that decision should there be another money shortfall in the near future? I just look forward to answers. Thanks.
Okay, next. PJ's left, right, left?
Mary Briggs, Geauga resident. I would like to know from the board who wrote this cross-jurisdictional cooperative agreement? How did the board come to consensus on its language? Was it part of your multiple 2-hour executive sessions? And if so, what authority in your motion to enter into executive session applied? Why have you chosen not to have the public forums that I recommended on more than one occasion to share this information with Geauga County? You have a contract for services until June 30th with Lake County. Why is this a rush? Has it been submitted to the Geauga County Prosecutor's Office, and have they signed off on it? And I believe the O&M program that was tabled by the board in 2021, if it was fully instituted, it would bring in $700,000 a year for the EH department. I support a health department in Geauga County with our current employees and expanding. Thank you.
Oh, next row, right? So the next row?
Yes, I'm Walt Lorenz. I sent a letter to you guys to the board. I guess my letter will be returned with an answer when the prosecutor gets done with the house sales. I just want to make sure that you got the letter. I'm sure. Thank you.
Walt Lorenz is your name, sir?
L-R-E-N-Z.
Where do you live?
In Geauga County.
Did you put a return address on it?
Chariton Township, yes, I did. I sent one to the state also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next. Are we through with that row? Okay.
I actually have a question, if I'm considered in this row.
Can you say your name and where you're from, please?
Well, Weiss, I work for Geauga Public Health.
Okay.
I'm the county registrar. So my question is, in no disrespect to Lake County and the work that they've done, if we are to give up control or to go into a contractual agreement and say this contract doesn't work, who's left on the inside of GPH if things go bad? Who's actually fighting for that in the end to help the Geauga County residents? Who's pulling for them? If it's Lake County people that are actually here running it.
Okay, next row. Okay, how about behind?
Has been kind of done sneakily so that the public wasn't aware. I mean, in December, you were extending the contract, and now all of a sudden, you're selling us out to Lake County, and no public input. I'm sure that you put a lot of work into this agreement, but no public input at all. And with whoever said that having a meeting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when nobody can get here, why do you have your board meetings at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when 95% of the public isn't available? I think it's a big mistake to rush this through, and I think that
not knowing where you're going since November. Like, how do you move forward? How do you plan for your activities, your community events? Nothing. When was the last time you guys checked on your employees? When was the last time you guys gave us an update? Not you guys necessarily, our leadership. When was the last time we went to our directors? What's going on? Hey, should I move forward with this community event? I don't know. Should you? We don't know. Like, I have tons of events that I'm supposed to attend this summer. And it's not GPH, it's gonna be, oh, Magali can't make it. Is Magali gonna have a job? I don't know, am I? But like, you guys should have just prepped us for this. We know there's no going back. But maybe check on the employees that have been killing themselves for this place. We have done so much for this place because we wanted to serve the residents of Geauga County. We have people that moved back to this county.
Hearing yesterday that I was not going to have a job. 2.5 years from retirement. I have seen this place through good, through bad, through horrible, and I have stuck with it. This is the worst this place has ever been. Morale is down. You don't know whether you should come or go. You're being watched like you're some sort of a criminal. You do one thing wrong, and you're written up for it. This is not a good environment for these employees. And changing it over to Lake County is only going to make it worse. That's what I have to say. I really enjoyed my time here, and I'm really sorry to have to go.
I'm Catherine Whitwright, and I wonder, I'm just amazed that nobody knew. And I would think as the board, did you realize people didn't have any idea and they're going to have them lose their job on March 31st? I'm really proud of the county. I've been in this county and I was at the Board of Elections for 27 and a half years. And we were considered the best everywhere. Every department was considered the best. Now all of a sudden, we can't even pay our bills, and we don't do what's available, like the trustees. I hope you guys really think about what you're doing. It's very discouraging.
Well, we're going to have to let everybody else speak, and then you can speak after everybody else has an opportunity. So, yes, ma'am.
Sure. My name is Sarah Sullivan. I'm the epidemiologist with Geauga Public Health. The only thing I want to note is today we learned that the 31st is cutoff during this meeting. So we did not get to know that beforehand. We saw the contract yesterday, just like everybody else. So we're just learning the 31st is the cutoff. Thank you.
Okay.
I think we need a new board. I tried it.
One more?
Hi.
I'll make it my mission to replace all of them.
I'm a sanitarian here. Raised in Geauga County, graduated from Georgia High School. I left to go to Western Ohio to get my education and work at 2 different health departments. I saw a job opening in Geauga last year, and I love Geauga County, so I moved back, and it's just really exciting to hear that we're now losing our jobs, and we'll be employed by Lake County. I love Geauga County. I live in Geauga County. I want to work for Geauga County.
Okay. Everybody had a chance to speak?
I have one more question. Chris Toad, I'm a clerical specialist here, and I also live in Munson. So when you lay us all off on the 31st, are you going to lay us all off and there's not going to be anybody here to serve the public? How is that going to work? Or are we going to find this out on the 31st?
You're not answering any questions, so you wouldn't know.
But it would be nice to let your employees know. We have families. Some people have only this place as their insurance, and I know that this was thought of ahead of time because somebody was asked about what our insurance cutoff was. So you got to remember, it was asked prior to knowing, so you knew ahead of time. We deserve respect, just like you all want respect from everybody else. We deserve that. We are your employees. We are here, the ones running the place for the people of this county. I'm the one that gets yelled at when the inspectors come in, not you. I get yelled at. An apology would be nice.
No, we should not let up a second, because I think we're going to run out of.
Okay. All right. So, does anyone want to comment about answers? How about some what? Answers.
Yeah, I mean, there was a question about why didn't you put a levy on the upcoming ballot, or why didn't you assess the townships? To that, I would say, because it was not necessary. If we have an opportunity to save money without cutting services, it would be breaking our fiduciary duty not to pursue that. And I'm personally not interested in just propping up unneeded bureaucracy.
Still would like to.
We're going to go ahead and answer the rest of these questions.
Yeah, I think there were questions about the timing, and certainly for us on the board, we've been talking about this since November, so I understand it may be new to some people in the room, but we've been having board meetings with public.
We'll get hired, and we are going to staff this department, okay? But we can't guarantee that all of them are going to get hired. Okay?
Can I make a comment?
So,
There was also a question about what does Lake County get from this? Lake County is simply being the supplier of employees for us. They get nothing. They're not getting any extra money. They're being reimbursed based on the salary and the healthcare costs that go with all that. They are totally being reimbursed. They get nothing else. If people think they're getting something else, fine. There was also a comment that Lake County's smaller than us. I don't know what that is based on, but we have land size. Public health is based on population, not land size. In population, we are less than 100,000 here. If you look at the report that was put out by the health commissioners in 2012, there are many small counties, lower population, that are having very difficult times in trying to make ends meet, for lack of a better word.
and I would like to say, okay, it is not this board's intention to lay off workers and have people lose their jobs. I feel terrible for them, I do. But we have to, as a board, we have to be responsible and look what's the best thing for the 95,000 residents in this county, what's the best thing for this department. The best thing for this department, it's not like we're dissolving the department. We are not. And we will be in as much control as we can, so that the contract was put together so that when I'm gone and well, I let you all speak, now you should let us respond. Okay, I think you're being disrespectful, frankly, but, I mean, that, you know. So does someone else want to say anything?
Should we start responding to some of the questions from the audience?
Yes, thank you.
Lynn, you handled the what's in it for Lake County questions that came up.
What I'd like to understand,
Yeah.
amount of work that has to be done in the counties. Get rid of our work.
Regarding the question about executive session, we're only allowed to go into executive session to discuss human resource issues.
We know.
We did not discuss the structure of this agreement. Carolyn and I are presenting the structure of this agreement now to our board members. Yes, there were implications for employees, and what people need to know is that employees will get, they get till March 31st, they get 2 weeks severance, and they get their paid vacation time.
Do something of this magnitude with discussing this.
County prosecutor's office, sign off on it
Yes, the county.
in a public meeting, because I have attended and I don't recall.
Should we go through the questions that were asked previously and try to knock some of those out?
Thank you.
Jim, did you want to make a comment since?
Yes.
I don't think we should.
I just want you to know that Russell Township is in good financial shape. If you came for us, somebody said $30,000.
Yep.
If it's 60, not a problem. We will take care of our portion of that, and I'm pretty sure that most of the other trustees, if given the chance and the choice between losing the health department and stepping up, at least on a short-term basis, until we can do something else, they would do that. I will do it, I pledge it, Geauga County, I should say Russell, we're in. We're in to soak up $600,000 shortfall that you believe that that's going to...
You know, I have a question. So do you speak for the board, the trustees, the other trustees?
I can't do that, but
Okay.
I assure you that I can get that through.
Okay.
I would like to say that Clarendon Township is not in
Just
good
speak out when they
financial shape.
want to. I'm Joyce Peters, I'm from Parkman Township, I'm a trustee. I have seen firsthand what happens when you work with another organization, in particular Lake County. As a school employee, I saw this. We combined our educational service centers. Guess what? Guess who got all the attention and the money? Lake County, not Geauga County Schools. Ask Berkshire bus drivers how they feel about contracting. They were promised they could get the jobs. They were promised they could keep their benefits. They got the jobs at way lower salaries. They had their benefits for, I can't name the months, it's 6, 8, 12. All of a sudden, they lost their benefits. So they can make promises. They can tell you they will hire these people. They can tell you they will pay them, but they're not going to pay them what they're making now.
I think we need to maintain order here, Mr. President.
Okay.
And can we go through some of the questions that were asked previously and try to address those questions?
Absolutely.
I don't think they will.
They didn't want to hear the truth.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Leha, I feel like you and I are having a now discussion about the day-to-day here. So when I asked this question of what does it look like when people come here on a day-to-day basis, and I think the confusion is coming from the fact that we're just wiping everybody out of the department and that nobody will be here. But essentially what we are doing is the board maintains control. You will see people when you walk in with the GPH logo shirt on. You will have JAGA inspectors, contracted employees from Lake, but they will be designated JAGA inspectors performing. You will have JAGA people here doing permits. So we essentially have contracted employees here. So there is somebody here day to day. It's not like you would have to go to Lake for any of these additional services. You would not have to deter from the day to day, nor that you're used to when coming and interacting with this department.
I'll also address, I think it was Vicky's question about, do we foresee coming back to the former state being our own independent? That may be something that we do, okay? But we have suggested, and we're recommending, I should say not suggesting, but recommending a 5-year agreement that has a mutual out, and there is 2 years to have to transition. So.
Excuse me, when you say mutual out,
No,
what does that mean?
we got to keep on, I think we need to keep answering questions that were already
We don't have
asked.
a health commissioner here?
We don't have a
health commissioner now, really. We have a very part-time health commissioner
Correct.
currently.
Per your direction, but will we still have a very part-time health commissioner?
As I stated earlier, the last time we needed to look for a health commissioner, there were no qualified candidates. This time, we have 20-some applicants, okay? We only interviewed 4 people, and I would say, we have not put them in front of the board here, but Ashley and I, who interviewed them, they're not as skilled as some of the people we have that have been doing work for us right now. It's very hard and it's very expensive to try to keep recruiting health commissioners. We've been through 2 health commissioners, one before I even existed on the board and one since I've been on the board.
Okay, so let's continue answering the questions that were already asked.
I'm down to O&M, is that what you're at?
So there, Mrs. Briggs had asked a question about O&M
Yes.
bringing in $700,000 and essentially why isn't that being implemented? Now, does
Right.
anyone want to address that, or I can if not?
I guess, and that is a very good question that Mrs. Briggs asked, is why isn't O&M implemented? O&M is a very, I guess, tedious system. Once O&M is implemented, she is correct. We should realize probably $600,000 to $700,000 income. But with O&M, we cannot we cannot operate O&M with the staff we have. We need to have more sanitarians, and we do plan to do that. And O&M, by the way, is mandated by the ORC, so that, it's not, we're not gonna not do that.
Yeah, and the Environmental Health Department has been dealing with a 3-year backlog as a result of FSOP that they're trying to get caught up on. So creating a new program, a new backlog, merely to generate revenue would be reproducing the same wrong that FSOP elimination addressed.
Okay, next one,
There was a comment about,
county registrar.
go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
So I think there was a question about the county registrar. We will continue to have the county registrar here, the deputy registrar here. When you want to go get a birth certificate or death certificate, you come to this building in Geauga County. You don't go to Painesville or whatever, or wherever Lake County General Health District is. The same thing, actually, I might add, for all other permits, that this building this is where the contracted employees will be housed out of. You should not notice any difference in service. Okay.
So you think they're all going to take the deal, huh?
What's the next thing?
There was a comment made about us being extremely healthy and wealthy county, which is absolutely true. We are a very let me stand up, sorry. It's sort of a double-edged sword when you say things like that we're healthy and wealthy county, because when that's the case, it does make it more difficult to access certain grants. One benefit of a cross-jurisdictional agreement with another county is it does provide increased access to certain programs that we wouldn't have independently. So that is one benefit. So I just wanted to clarify that it is not a disadvantage to be healthy and wealthy, but it does impact certain things.
So what's the difference?
And I would also
No money or money?
add that health is true that the population here is generally healthy, but a lot of the work that is done in the public health district has to do with environmental health, which doesn't necessarily relate to the same individual personal health. And that's probably 75% of the activity that this district does.
Okay.
Has anyone asked the employees how it's working with Adam and Dan being here?
Anybody else? Any other? Does Mr. Stern have any comments?
Mr. Graham.
I didn't hear one.
Do you want to ask Mr. Graham?
No, I don't think that would be helpful.
I think this one is, well, you're going to see because it's just appointed and
I think we should give people, see if anyone wants another chance.
spreadsheet. Mr. Tire Straight Big Guys thing here. Next week. We had to use a county printer. 11 by 17. That was all. Pretty much been. My question is. And you know, I
Shelley, can you hear what's being discussed right now? You guys speak louder so the public can hear.
Actually, I can't hear. Okay. It's, you can't whisper during.
Yeah, this is a public meeting, so can we hear your comments? Thank you.
So, we are just discussing whether we are going to vote or not vote. We're talking about possibly delaying the vote. Frankly, I don't see the benefit of that. You know, I don't know if it's going to be, I don't think it would be helpful to delay the vote. And in fairness to the staff, I think it's best to, if we're going to go down this path, to expedite it and move forward. And, you know, that's just my feeling from the board, but I'm only one person.
It takes you 3 minutes. Don't be surprised if you're in court.
Anybody else have a comment they'd like to make? Any more discussion about this?
I think if we table it, we just push the decisions further down.
I do too. If we table it, we just push the decision down the road. And this is I mean, believe me, this is not an easy decision, but the board, I think, is confident that this is the right decision to make. We cannot keep going on the way it has. So, with that in mind.
How we make up the shortfall of $500,000 becomes a very big question. A very, very big question.
Take it to
H-Dad. Townships, and they will provide.
And yes, I'd like to hear all the townships say that they're willing to write that check for us.
We just need to have a
I'd
meeting.
like to hear the voters also say they'd like to pass a higher levy.
Probably ask.
That would be great. That would be great. Okay, so do we have a...
3709.28.
So can we call for a motion? Do we have a motion to,
I move to enter into a cross-jurisdictional cooperative agreement pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 3709.08 with the Lake County General Health District for the administration and operation of Geauga County's public health service as identified in this public meeting as a cross-jurisdictional cooperative agreement.
so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So this would be a roll call vote. Dr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Brackey?
Yes.
Mrs. Roman?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Perino? Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. At this time, we're going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming.